Good evening, everyone. My name is Priyanka, and I'm delighted to introduce today's speaker, Ms. Janata Reddy, who is an attorney with an LLM degree from the Indiana University School of Law, Indianapolis. She is an immigration attorney and the founder of the law offices of Janata R. Kancharla, located in Virginia, with 16 years of experience. She is licensed to practice in New York State Bar Association and the American Immigration Lawyers Association. Her interest in immigration law stems from her own experience as an immigrant from India. She realizes the important role global migration plays in international trade and economic development. She enjoys the practice of immigration law because she is able to help individuals and families realize their dreams while also making a positive impact on various communities that benefit from the infusion of new talent and cultural diversity. Today, she will be sharing valuable insights on the latest immigration topics. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Janata Reddy Garu. I would like to give a quick disclaimer before I hand over it to Janata Reddy Garu. Please note that the information provided during this call is for informational purpose only and does not constitute legal advice. Participation does not create an attorney-client relationship. For specific legal advice, consult a licensed immigration attorney. Do not share personal or confidential information during the call. By participation, you acknowledge and agree to these terms. Thank you. Over to you, Janata Garu.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hope everybody is doing okay this evening. So we are here, especially thanks to GTA for organizing this call. At least we can help some community members. From past 10 days, I think, we are hearing a lot, especially about the, student status, what's going on and all. So it came to, everybody as a shock, suddenly the Department of State started revoking especially the student visas and then communicating to the Department of Homeland Security, which in turn revoked a lot of, terminated the SEVIS for students. So as, we are, here in the 15th day of April, and then, as it all unfolds, a lot of students learned in a hard way, like, what happened, especially what is the reason. So when we compare, these revocations to the previous one, visa revocations are not really new, but however, the status terminations are a bit new. So when we go back into a background of, how the visa happens, previously, Department of State used to revoke the visas, those who have criminal background, especially those who have the DUIs and stuff like that. Though the case gets dismissed here, the very first thing the Department of State does is sending an email to the individual, especially the email ID, whatever that particular person provided in the DS 160 when they appear for F1 visa. Okay, so and then the next step is this time, which is new, where the Department of State communicated with the Department of Homeland Security, where they terminated SEVIS, and even this came as a shock to department, designated school officials as well, because usually they do have the authority to terminate, for several reasons, where if the student is not attending the school or missing some classes, if they are not on track, specifically, different reasons, they will be able to. But this time, Department of Homeland Security, they terminated the SEVIS. So the difference between revoking the visa and the termination is when the visa is revoked by the Department of State, of course, the person can still continue staying inside the country. The only problem will be, whenever they travel in and out of the country, if they travel out, they won't be able to come back until you have a new visa in your passport. So there are certain cases where, we have been hearing from past, 7, 8 years or even 10 years, where, initially when Department of State started this, people were, just about to board the flight, then, the airlines did not allow them to board. That's how they learned that, their visa was revoked. But at least now, they are giving all these heads up communications. And to my surprise, today in one of the consultation call, I learned that the Hyderabad consulate called the parent because I mean I think that's what the local number that they have. They call the parent and let them know that hey, your son's visa got revoked. This is one case I did a consultation on today. So that was regarding the revocation. But however, when the Department of Homeland Security, who has the jurisdiction within the United States, when they terminate the status, of course the complicate it kind of complicates your legal stay. I mean, how you have to navigate, what you need to do, all these things. So now, because of the SEVIS terminations, especially, students are like, struck with, hey, what are my options, what I need to do. Especially, do I need to stay inside the country? Or do I sue? Or do I do a reinstatement? Do I leave the country? I mean, all these things. So when we look into, especially, as they used to do it for the criminal cases, DUIs, but now we are learning through this process of, the service terminations, even the traffic violations, and then, the petty thefts, and then, anything, especially what I'm seeing, my interpretation is if your name is in the database, in the police database. I think that's how maybe they are using the AI, and then this happened in a very massive way. I guess a lot of students got impacted. So, like every size doesn't fit all. So, I mean, one solution doesn't fit because you have to go by case to case. Like somebody will have DUI, somebody will have, I mean, suspended license, somebody will have speeding tickets, somebody parking violations, and then assaults, you name it. What I mean, I guess for any of these things, and even more, I mean, as we learn from the students themselves, what they have. Sometimes they had to go back and then think about, hey, what was the mistake I did? I mean, why did this service termination and visa revocation came here? Maybe this is because of that. Because the Department of State, not the Department of State, not even the service, the DHS didn't give any official communications, specifically stating that hey, this is what you did. So I think the options are like depends on case by case basis. So what I would recommend before we go ahead and then take some of the questions, the very first thing, first option I would recommend to consider is filing a lawsuit, or there have been some class action lawsuits going on with different law firms. Maybe if you want to join them, that is one way to join. Excuse me. And the second thing would be based on case by case, whether you are eligible for the reinstatement. Of course, if you're already graduated, you might not be able to. But however, if a different university gives you an I-20, then possibility is there that you might apply. And then if you are in between the coursework, like you didn't graduate, yes, request the school DSO and then try to get a reinstatement I-20. And then the third thing is, if you really are not comfortable doing the reinstatement, because once you do the reinstatement, whether it is a lawsuit or the reinstatement, it's a time consuming process. Of course, maybe filing a lawsuit might allow you to stay back. It might give you those kind of protections to stay inside the country because you have a case that is pending. But however, I guess when you file the reinstatement, so that doesn't give you any protection when when and if the ICE officer wants you to detain or deport. Having the reinstatement application pending might not be able to help you. You are still considered as I mean, whatever based on the officer says, whether detaining, deporting, I mean, you had to go through the process. And then once you are deported back to your home country, quoting as an abandonment, your reinstatement application might get denied. And in some of the cases, maybe when you have the reinstatement filed, that might not really give you a status inside the country. You really have to think about, what your options are, what is best for you, whether you are having that kind of financial ability to go ahead and then, hire a lawyer and then, do the lawsuit, or, whether you want to do a reinstatement. So, or just, follow the instructions and then, just see what is going on. Because we still are not seeing or hearing from anybody that ICE is coming to their homes, or I mean trying to remove. I don't have any first-hand information on that one. Maybe students know better than me, because they are in multiple groups. So and the clear instructions from the service definitely states that hey, you need to leave in certain time frame, and then once you leave, after going back to the home country, you need to appear at the US consulate where you got the visa, and cancel, physically cancel, get the visa cancelled. And I mean, if you are not leaving within certain time frame, if ICE comes, hey, we won't be able to give you enough time, and then if you are deportable, we might deport you to a different country, not the home country. This is what the emails for some of the students are stating. So it all depends upon. And then what I would say is, if students at the end of the day decide to leave, so just follow the instructions. And then I through our consultation, we also learned from one of the student who left to her home country. She stated that she tried to reach out to the consulate asking them to cancel the visa because she wants to follow the instructions as mentioned in the service. But they said that okay, when you appear for the visa next time, that's when we will cancel. So my advice in those situations would be, as soon as you reach your home country, you try to send an email to whichever the consulate issued you the visa, trying to say that hey, I mean, because of this specific reason, you are in the home country, and you are trying to reach out to them how you will get the visa cancelled, and keep that as an evidence. Because I mean, next time when you appear for whether it is F or for a different visa, if you appear, I mean, at least you can save it as an evidence, excuse me, save it as an evidence, and show them that you try to follow the rules whatever were mentioned in the email. So as I previously mentioned, I mean, it's all case by case basis, I mean, different things. And also students should typically learn typically I mean, in one state one of the crime might not be the same in the other state. You just have to relate, and make sure you have certified copies of the police report. And if you don't have the certified copies, maybe try to reach out to that specific location where this happened, and then email them, try to contact them. And there will be a minimal fee to certify, and then give you those copies. Try to retain them for future evidences or future purposes, especially when you appear for a different visa. So you have to make sure that you provide all these documents to them. And whenever you apply for different kinds of visas, make sure you are specifically mentioning that any questions asked on the DS 160, that hey, have you had any time revocations, visa cancellations, all these things, answer truthfully, and present all the documentation, try to overcome. Because we are hearing a student where she came to do her masters, and after finishing the masters, I mean, she went for another different degree, where she got her F stamping done successfully, despite having those some of the cases where she was driving without any license, where she was given a citation, she paid the fees and all. She was successful in getting, despite disclosing all these things. But however, now they went back 5 years, and then now her service got terminated. So it all depends on case to case. Pretty much that's what I would say. Before going on taking the questions, and also make sure that maybe I'll share by end of the call some of the rights, what you need to do, whenever you confront an officer, ICE officer, what your rights are, stay calm, and then you always can refuse to answer the questions, and you always have the right to ask for the attorney, all those things. And particularly make sure that you are not signing any of the documentation, no matter what it is, because technically by doing that you are waiving your rights. Okay, so Priyanka, let's go ahead and take some of the questions.
Sure, definitely. So, this is to everyone. Like, before I begin, I just want to say that this is not specific to any region or anybody. Anyone can post the questions, and any immigration status questions can be posted. I'll just try to read as many questions as I can, and all you can do is like you have to post your questions, or you won't be able to speak, and I'll be your voice today. So, I'll begin with the question. The first one is, I'm on OPT and my OPT end date is July 10th. I have to apply for STEM OPT before that. Will TRO give me the eligibility to apply for STEM OPT? If yes, what are the chances of not getting rejected?
Um, if you are planning to apply for the STEM OPT despite having the SEVIS terminated, that's what the question is, Priyanka?
It looks like, will TRO give me the eligibility to apply for STEM OPT? If yes,
Okay.
what are the chances of not getting rejected?
Okay, a temporary restraining order. I think, if you are inside the country, as long as your service is active, yes, you can still apply for OPT. So, and then, it all depends. So make sure that, you answer the questions in the right manner on your 765 application. So that way, it gets approved. If any RFE comes, you have to answer in that way. But however, yes, I mean, you technically still should be able to apply as long as your service is active.
Okay. How long it is taking for a lawsuit decision? How long are we predicting for the decision? How long can I stay after filing the lawsuit? If someone comes, how will be able to convince them?
See, filing the lawsuit, I think it gives them, a temporary protection that they can stay inside. But again, as our law firm is not doing any litigation, I guess it's a time-consuming process. So, you just have to wait for that. And then, how long it takes, nobody knows. It all depends upon the court calendar, it's a time-consuming and money-consuming process, but you technically need to wait patiently. And then if you are planning to file, or if you already filed, I would say, try to get that right answer from the attorney who filed that lawsuit.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Within how many days can I apply for reinstatement?
I would say as soon as possible, but again, I mean, you have to make sure that you have all the other documentation to meet the reinstatement requirements. Like, how initially you came into the country, like, meeting the financial requirements and all of those things, especially your DSO authorizing you, for the reinstatement, and then, applying, as I said, reinstatement application uh, pending will not give you any protection inside the country.
Okay, and this question is regarding I-539. Could you please answer if I can go to the school after filing I-539? Since the reinstatement process takes around 6 to 9 months, would I be able to go to school throughout that period? Will I not be unlawful during that period?
I think universities are allowing students, but it all depends on university to university. You have to make sure that you, reach out to the school DSO and ask whether you will be eligible to, attend the classes when the reinstatement is pending. And I guess some of the colleges are also requiring them to pay the fee to attend the school. So end of the day, it all depends upon whether you attended, not attended, whether you will be able to get the degree, when your, reinstatement process is pending. So check with the university school DSO, like, if you pay the fee, attend the school, if the reinstatement application is not successful, whether you will be able to graduate, or, get the degree what you paid for. So, this varies from university to university.
Okay, moving on to next one. I have a speeding ticket and a Class C misdemeanor for accompanying my friend who was arrested for shoplifting. He got Class B misdemeanor. How bad is my scenario?
I would say, in which state that happened, make sure that you are, looking into though the case is closed. So whether it is a misdemeanor or, once the service gets terminated, you have to be really careful on the things. But yes, if the service is still active, you can still continue. But I mean, I cannot really say how bad is the misdemeanor because we are seeing even for the misdemeanors, the service is getting terminated.
Oh, okay. I'm booked on hit and run and driving without license in a flash case on January 28th, but still I did not get court date till now to prove, but my visa is revoked and service is terminated yesterday. What are my options? And I'm graduating next month, May 17th.
If you are graduating, you have to carefully view, how you want to, do your OPT and STEM OPT because if you are qualified for that, and if you have to reach out to the school DSO and then ask them whether they will allow you to attend online if you leave. But however, if the service got terminated, then you have very little to do. But however, I think if you have a conversation with the school DSO, they would allow you because I recently had a conversation with one of the school DSO where they are pretty flexible that letting the students completing the coursework, those who are about to graduate, and then they are also saying that if you leave the country, we will also allow you to attend online and then graduate and get the degree.
Okay. And next question is regarding H1B holder. Can an H1B holder have two payrolls from different employers at the same time? A company A has full time, currently working, not sponsoring I-140. Company B has contractor, currently not working, but has active H1B, who started I-140 process. Within a month, perm will be approved. So to be approved I-140 from previous company, which is B, can run payroll to submit for I-140 as per current market accepted FTE. If yes, what are the consequences I will face? I would like to work closely with attorneys on this case.
What I would recommend, yes, I mean, if you have one full-time H1B, and then, if you also have a concurrent approved H1B, so you can work part-time for the concurrent H1B, holder. However, for your question that, whether the perm gets approved and also make sure that, because when employer sponsors for the perm, that is a full-time employment. So, you might have some hiccups at the time of I-140 or, things like that. But yes, absolutely, as long as the position that the employer sponsored you for is a full-time position, I guess, you should be able to get through and, should be good.
Got it. Next question. My service has been terminated due to a pending DUI case. Though there has been no conviction yet, I would like to understand how this may affect my situation and what options I have moving forward. Please let me know how I should proceed and if we can set up a consultation.
Yeah, definitely, we can set up a consultation. You can reach out to our office. But however, I mean, if the case is still pending, there is no outcome, I'm hoping that, you hired an attorney in that particular state and, going through it and then, fighting in the court, whatever the fines or, the classes or the community service you need to do, you have to, do that and get a closure. If your service got terminated, then yes, I mean, you have to see whether filing a lawsuit or reinstatement is a possible option for you through a different university. So look into all of those things and then also make sure that you have a certified police report. And along with that one, make sure that you carry a letter from your attorney who is representing you in the DUI that, hey, the case is still pending. This is what it is. So that way, at least, if you encounter the ICE officer, you should be able to produce those documents.
Okay. I did not get the court date yet. It may take more than 1 year to get the date. What if I leave now and try to come back? What are the chances of approving the visa? What are the chances of going to another country? Will my data be shared to another country?
If you leave, yes, coming back, it all depends on case to case and what kind of case you have, I mean, whether it is a DUI or theft or whatsoever. Again, you have to overcome, every time you appear for the visa, you have to overcome that, whatever the standards that are, and then, for the reason why you left the country, you have to overcome all of those things. As long as you meet those, I guess you should be able to, but again, it's all case by case basis. We don't know yet how these cases are going to be treated in future. Regarding the data sharing, to my knowledge, I mean, they say, all United States say that they don't do any data sharing, but possibility is there that I can confirm that, I mean, they do share the data with Canada. This I'm talking about 2 years, I mean, where we learned through a consular tour in New Mexico. But however, it might differ from time to time, and then, the relations that the country to country that they have right now. So it all depends, but I think to some extent they would do.
Okay. Regarding new rule effective April 11th, requires all non-citizen aged 18 and older to carry proof of registration at all times, regardless of visa status. Do we need to carry originals all the time or photocopies are good?
I think photocopies would do for carrying around, but however, I mean, make sure follow the guidelines, and then I mean, whenever you encounter any of the officer, make sure that you at least have a copy, so that way, I mean, when you show a copy, they don't blindly believe in the copy; they'll check their database. So technically speaking, having a copy would do, but make sure you carry all those copies related to you, whether it's the H-1B employment confirmation or a recent pay stub, things like that.
Okay. Do a green card holder need to file G325R form?
No. A lot of people are asking about, I mean, this recent rule. So, if you are a green card holder, you don't have to, because you are a permanent resident. Only, whatever the group of people that are listed in the rules. I think only few will be doing it. Most of them will not do, including green cards, H-1Bs, H-4s. Those who have I-94s, when a person enters into the country, and if that particular person has an I-94, they don't have to do. And however, one small exemption is like, if you have your child on H4 when they entered, they have an I-94, but they were 12 or 13 at that time, but now the kid turned 14. So then, they should go ahead and then, register within 30 days of the 14th birthday. Or let's say if they already crossed that, go ahead and register and carry the proof.
Okay. Next question. I recently got my visa revoked. I was charged for shoplifting and the case was settled long ago. I had to come back to India in a short notice. I have a perfect GPA of 4 and I'm very involved on campus. What would you recommend to do or steps to take in my case?
What I would recommend, I mean, if you are still in India and then your service got terminated, then definitely you need to reappear at the consulate for the visa again, because you cannot use the same. And the supporting documents, what I would say is maybe, I mean, get some recommendation letters from your professors, I mean, regarding your, the GPA and how like excellent you are, and then, how you never missed any classes, and then, a letter from the school DSO as well, where they are recommending, for your coming back, because, they think that you are, uh, good student, and then, contributing a lot on the campus to different organizations and stuff like that. So, getting those recommendation letters will definitely help.
Okay. My friend had a DUI case still in court. He is in H1B going well with his job. Will there be any problem for him?
Especially when there is a DUI, yes, I mean, definitely the visa gets revoked. One needs to, I mean, keep an eye on, though the case is still pending, as soon as the DUI happens, arrest happens, maybe within a week or 10 days, we are seeing, the information is reaching the Department of State and they are, canceling or revoking the visas. So, make sure that, when you not travel, if you travel, definitely you have to appear for the visa. And, they will always ask for you, what happened to the case. If it is an open ended, they'll ask. Uh, Possibilities are there, you might not get a stamping till the closed case gets a closure. So, make sure you leave only once the case gets closed, and then, I mean, you can apply for a waiver, outside the country, stating that you are not an habitual drunkard, things like that. So, it's a process that, where you have to apply for a waiver and then, come back on the H1B. But my advice is, if you have a DUI, whether you are on H1B or any other visa, where unlike the students where the termination happened, service termination happened. So, don't travel, avoid traveling at this point of time.
I'm on day one CPT. I want to know the options if I visit India to meet family. I'm doing PhD in Cumberland University. Please advise even my stamping is not done as my OPT completed.
Yeah, I think if you have to return back, I mean, go to your home country and come back, definitely you will be needing a stamping. So make sure you carry all the documents that are required for the stamping. But, the advice is, at this point of time, we are advising unless and until it is an emergency situation, not to leave the country because, I mean, you really don't want to get yourself in a situation where they find something on your phone or things like that and get into trouble unnecessarily.
Okay. I'm in my OPT and during my master's, I have a misdemeanor of underage sale. It got dismissed after doing a community service. What are the chances that if I file a litigation or take part in a lawsuit?
That I cannot really comment because you have to talk to the lawyer who who does litigation. But I guess, I mean, as this is a low-lying case, maybe possibility is there that, you meet the standard. But again, it all depends on case to case, the state you did that, and then, whether the lawyer will be willing to take up that. But yes, litigation is a good way to move forward, I would say.
Okay. I got my SEVIS terminated last week because of shoplifting case and it was dismissed and I got married to a citizen last year August and I have only filed I-130 and I just gave rest of my process to be handled to a lawyer. So what are the suggestions you can give and what problems will I be facing?
If only I-130 was filed, that doesn't give you any protection. I'm not really sure why you haven't filed the adjustment of status as well at that point of time. So I would say go ahead and file the adjustment of status to see if you are eligible for that. Possibility that, you might face extra challenges when you attend the interview throughout the case. But however, I-130 was already filed long ago. So, go ahead and file for the adjustment of status.
Okay. My service got terminated last week because of DWI charges in 2023, but I got dismissed within 5 months. My university are not giving reinstatement I-20. I'm on STEM OPT. What are the measures to be taken from my side and how long can I stay in US?
Yeah, staying in the US, I would say just follow what your service termination says. If you are planning to leave or if you are planning to contest, I mean, follow those, I mean, you can join one of the lawsuit and then, be part of it. But however, if the university is not really convinced to give an I-20, maybe you have to pursue a different university and file a reinstatement if you plan to.
Yeah, okay. I'm currently on H1B and I am in US and I have a stamped visa which was done out of Mexico in this first week of April 2025. Now I'm traveling to India on 15th May and planning to come back on 2nd September 2025. Since I don't have a project as a contractor, my employer has agreed to run a payroll for each month until I get a project. Would it be any risk at the port of entry while coming back from India to US with visa on 2nd September 2025? Please advise.
Yeah, though you have a visa validity till September 2025, just running a payroll is not the thing. I mean, this has become, a known norm these days. But however, your H1B was filed that stating that, hey, you will be working at, whatever this XYZ location. So you definitely need to have that particular project. When you are re-entering, I mean, because you appeared for visa with those documentation, when you enter back in, they will look into and they ask you where you are going to work, and any misinformation you provide will trigger, the removal. So, make sure that you are not doing that. Find a new job, and then, when you are entering into before you enter into the country, file an amendment, get it approved, and then you will be able to enter with the new amendment approval. That's what I recommend.
Okay, what is the new rule of alien registration for all legal residents and visa holders as well?
See, the new rule, which came effect, yesterday, I guess, as I mentioned previously, those who already have I-94s inside the country, those who got inspected and have visas and I-94s doesn't have to register. Permanent residents doesn't have to register. Even, I guess, if B2 enters into country, if they have an I-94, they don't have to. But however, as I said, this applies to, undocumented aliens, and plus a small group of people where, the kids came in before 14 and then they turned 14 inside the country. They should register within the 30 days of the 14th birthday. Or if they already turned 14 and then, I mean, past 30 days passed by, and if they are in their, 15th or 16th year, yes, those are the people that they have to register.
Okay. So, what are the options if the service got terminated and reinstatement is not an option? Since I already graduated, DSO denied giving the reinstatement.
Yeah, if the DSO denied the reinstatement, if that is not the option, I think you have an option to, be part of a lawsuit, or maybe, I mean, once you leave the country and then, just follow whatever the instructions that are there as per your service termination, and then reappear for a different visa or the same visa, whatever you think you are eligible for.
Okay. I filed for my H4 dependents on time for extension. I got my H1B in 3 months, but my kids, it is more than 9 months and still pending. What should I do?
Yeah, I mean, especially these 539 forms are really taking long time if it is not filed in the premium. So we are seeing at least, anywhere between 6 to 8 plus months. So as long as they have a receipt notice and then, the extension was filed on time, so technically they should be able to stay inside the country.
Okay. Will filing lawsuit and reinstatement works?
I think, yeah, I guess you can do both. Yeah.
Okay. My STEM OPT was approved on Jan 15th of this year. Service terminated, stopped working, already graduated in December 2023. Have two summary offense citations, no arrest. University won't provide another I-20 since I graduated. Should I apply for a reinstatement from another day one CPT university or file a lawsuit? And how much would both cost on average? What would you advise?
I mean, you can do both, but however, as long as the university gives you I-20 for the reinstatement from a different university, you can do so. But the possibilities are, less, and it's a time-consuming process. I mean, it might take a very long time, even 8, 9 months, or even a year. But you can also be part of the lawsuit. But again, the cost wise, I'm not sure. You have to reach out to the law firm who is litigating. But the reinstatement wise, the USCIS fee is going to be $470. And then, that if you are going through an attorney, it all depends upon how much that individual law firm is charging you as an attorney fee.
Okay. I'm on STEM OPT and my EAD ends in Jan 26 last December. I got a DUI and there is a second hearing going on. My service got terminated recently and I'm planning on going back to India as soon as possible to avoid any kind of deportation. So if I'm planning to come back later in future, what are the things I have to do before leaving US in order to not face any issues while coming back with new visa? And what is the grace period I have to leave the country after service termination?
Yeah, I mean, see, they are just giving, mentioning 15 days, but I think in give and take, you just, look around and then, leave in the same time frame or maybe under 30 days. But, there is no black letter law rule stating that, hey, after the termination, you can stay inside the country for, these days. There is nothing in rule which states that, okay, you stay 15 days, you stay 30 days or, 2 months. It's not a settled law. So nowhere it's described that you can stay, but a reasonable time frame always they say. When you say reasonable time frame, I guess 15 to 30 days is okay. But again, you will be hearing from your friends what's happening, and then I mean, if you have to leave, make sure that you are making that decision to leave. The sooner you leave, you will be in a better position when you apply visa next time. So at least you can let you can show your intent stating to the officer that you complied at least those terms.
Okay. I'm on STEM OPT and my employment is valid till January 2026. I was charged on a felony case which got dismissed in January, but my service got terminated and visa has revoked. So, in my case, if I file the lawsuit, now what are my chances of getting approved?
That it's an individual case to case basis. Definitely, you need to talk to the attorney who files who litigates your case on behalf of you. So, as I said, we don't do litigation, so it all depends. But again, it's a time consuming process. Maybe we can hear from some of the other cases sooner than anticipated, but not really sure how it applies to the broader spectrum for everybody. So.
Sure. In certain uncertainty, how safe it is to convert a college student on H4 visa of first year, 17 years of age, now to be converted to F1. What's best option, possible option? Wait to reach nearer to 21 years?
I would recommend, maybe try to do the change of status once the person celebrates the 20th birthday. Give and take 1 year should be fine. Right now, as we speak, we do have the premium process available for these F1s, but not really sure by then we will. But again, I mean, H4 would be the best option right now because that gives them a lot of flexibility to attend kind of coursework that they want to. They don't have to meet certain GPA criteria or certain credits and all. So that gives them a lot of flexibility, and especially fee wise, I think that would be the best option as well. I would recommend once the person celebrates the 20th birthday, then within that 30-day time frame, or maybe within few days, try to initiate the change of status.
Okay. My service got terminated due to a criminal record. I have a DUI case and I plead not guilty. And the case is closed. My H1B got picked up this year 2025. I even have my reinstatement I-20 from the university. What are my options?
It depends, if you would like to go ahead and file the reinstatement, I mean, you can. But again, as I mentioned, I'm not seeing reinstatement as a tool, to stay, or a tool that will give you kind of, protections. So, for you, as your H1B got picked up, I mean, you can leave the country, ask the employer to file for the consular process, appear for the H1B stamping at the consulate. But I guess, I mean, you leaving the country, not working, H1B picked, I mean, all these things, whether there's a real job opportunity available, all these things, come into picture.
Okay. Is there anything that a recent naturalized individual be cautious about while traveling overseas?
Not really. So, I mean, make sure that, you have your US passport, I mean, that will make you eligible to travel. But however, I mean, you might face some questions, how long you stayed outside, which country, what are the countries that you visited and all. But yeah, I mean, for citizens, I mean, less likely that, I mean, they are at risk.
Okay. My son is 13 years, 4 months. Does he need to submit his fingerprints?
No, until 14, not really.
Okay. I got a speeding ticket on school zone 9 months ago, and they took my fingerprints and I paid the fine as well, and the case was closed. But last week I got a call from college as they told me my visa got revoked and service got terminated. So I reopened the case in the court and they dismissed my case and they expunged it from criminal database. They gave me a proof that my case was dismissed from the court, so I came back to India. Now, what should I do? Like I'm on OPT right now.
See, I mean, as soon as your service gets terminated, you will not have a valid OPT. So, I mean, if you have to come back, you have to get an I-20 from a different university, appear at the consulate for the stamping, and then you have to overcome, and then, what are all the things that, the reason why your visa got cancelled and then your service got terminated. And then, if you successfully get stamped, then you should be able to, enter into the country. And one thing I would like to mention here, as we heard the word expungement, especially for immigration purposes, when you are on a visa or when you are applying for the green card, when you adjust your status, though your records got expunged even during the naturalization, though your records got expunged, for immigration purposes, you definitely need to mention them.
Okay. My service got terminated 2 days ago and my visa got revoked a year ago. I'm in my final semester. Due to DWI, I'm still on probation. What are my options?
I think, as I mentioned, I mean, going with the lawsuit and then with the reinstatement and then, or leaving the country, whichever, I mean, best suits you, I mean, make a decision on those lines. But however, as you are in the last semester, maybe if your school allows you to continue studying, after filing the reinstatement, make sure that you attend and then, talk with the university that they will allow you to attend the school. And then, finally, when you complete all the coursework, that you are given a degree. So make sure you have a word, and then not only verbally, I would say, just have an email from the school DSO stating, hey, this is what it is, because you want to make sure that what you paid for, you are getting the degree. And some universities are also allowing, school DSOs are flexible. They allow you to attend online from home country and still can award a degree. So you can also look into those options, have a conversation with your school DSO on that.
Okay. Do I need to file a lawsuit and reinstatement together? Until how many days can I legally stay in US?
These two are two different things. You will be filing the reinstatement with the USCIS, and lawsuit. You have to choose that particular law firm who litigate, and then maybe go ahead and be part of that class action lawsuit.
Okay. My friend who got a careless driving ticket in Minnesota last year, while driving on permit with a licensed driver in the car, the county court charged the minimal fee and closed the case. Could it create any problem in current administration era?
What status they are on? Is it a student or?
It is not stated. I'll just let them ask one more time. Moving
Yeah.
on to another question. Um, have a public drunkenness and noise violation citation from a couple of years ago in Pennsylvania. Both are summary offenses, missed my court date, and had a bench warrant. But the fine was eventually paid. The case was closed. Service was terminated. Already graduated, so my university won't provide a new I-20. Was approved from my STEM OPT recently. Now, what are my options?
Yeah, options are, as I said, same as you don't have, the university is not willing to, give you an I-20 for the reinstatement because you already graduated. You had to find out a different university who will be able to do that, or, be part of this class action lawsuit, or leave the country and then, I mean, try to come back, with the different universities I-20 by overcoming the situation.
Okay, and to the previous question, the response was J2 dependent. The visa is J2 dependent.
J2 dependent. Yeah, I mean, as long as the service is still intact, because I mean, you are a J2 dependent, so you can still stay inside the country, but make sure you get all the certified copies of whatever the citations that you mentioned. I mean, make sure you have them. But however, when you if your visa got revoked and whenever you leave the country, you won't be able to come back, so you have to reappear for your visa again.
Okay. My F1 visa was revoked and my service record was deactivated. I have since initiated the reinstatement process and my service status. Am I allowed to travel outside the United States while the reinstatement process is underway and service is active? How long does the F1
I
reinstatement?
I highly recommend not to travel because once you leave the country, your reinstatement will get denied, stating you abandoned the petition. So make sure that you follow. So if you already filed a reinstatement, don't leave the country. But as soon as you leave, yes, it's going to get denied.
Okay, and the continuation to the same question, how long does the F1 reinstatement process typically take and what is the estimated time frame for visa approval? Additionally, I would like to mention that I have a misdemeanor DUI case that occurred in 2007 and was fully resolved in 2008 with the status of disposed.
Yeah, I mean, reinstatement time definitely varies. So, it all depends on the caseload that the USCIS has. So, a minimal, I would say 8+ months starting from.
Okay, G325R, just a second, sorry. Okay, G325R, biographic information registration, required H4 dependent kids, their age is 14 plus.
14+, yes. I would say, as I just mentioned, if they are 14 and they already are past their, 30 days after the 14th birthday, definitely go ahead and register and keep the evidence.
Okay. I have a H1B location amendment, got an RFE asking my master's student details. Is there a risk of my petition getting denied or revoked? I have an MBA in project management and working as a senior program manager.
I think it all depends upon what the RFE is into because as I don't know much details, if they are only asking how your study or degree is related to the job that you are performing, maybe I would say the good idea is get a expert opinion done and then show them, the expert opinion will technically talk about having this particular degree, how you will be able to perform those job duties which were part of the H1B filing. So your attorney should, defend that in the RFE by providing the expert opinion and how you meet the degree requirements for this position, and then how having this specific degree you will be able to perform those job duties.
Okay. If DUI case is still pending and court date is April 24th, 2025, now we are doing pre-trial diversion and I applied to another college for reinstatement I-20 and I have all the documents I'm able to file I-539 by myself. What is the difference between myself and go through lawyer?
I mean, it all depends on, if you are comfortable going by yourself, yes, go ahead and do it. Maybe, a little help from your school DSO. But if you are not comfortable, if you would like to go through a lawyer, go ahead and hire them, have a conversation with them. Of course, definitely, a lawyer will be able to let what the pros and cons, I mean, what the outcome will be. So you will be at least be prepared ahead for those consequences.
Okay. I'm on H1B visa, recently got transferred to another company, which I switched job here in Virginia. H1B approval happened in November 2024. So far, I haven't received original hard copy, I-797 copy. I just have received a soft copy from USCIS. Is the I-797 original hard copy mandatory if I need to travel to India anytime in future when I go for stamping?
I think with a copy, you should definitely be able to attend the visa interview. So, as part of the process, when I toured, the actual consulates and then spoke with those officers, part of my, ALA group, when I go for conferences, the officers themselves confirmed that, a copy will definitely do. This I'm talking about, before this administration. So, though you give them the original, though you give them a copy, they are going to match it with their database to their State Department database, and only then they will be able to issue. So, I guess if you don't have an original, definitely copy will do for the stamping.
Okay. I'm on F1 and I do have valid I-94. Still, do I need to register for G23325R or alien registration requirement?
No, if you have a valid I-94, you don't have to. If you are
Okay.
above 14, you don't have to.
Okay. Hello, my SEVIS and visa got revoked because underage beer selling. My case expunged by court 2 years ago. My school not providing reinstatement I-20. I was in STEM OPT. What to do?
Um, Sorry, Priyanka, it's a little bit off. So, you said that
SEVIS
records
and
got
visa. Yeah, SEVIS and visa got revoked because
Okay,
underage beer selling.
got it.
My case expunged by court 2 years ago. My school not providing reinstatement I-20. I was in STEM OPT. What to do?
Yeah, I mean, if you already graduated, most of the universities are not really giving the reinstatement I-20s because, I mean, they think you are no longer eligible. But however, if you are able to get an I-20, a reinstatement I-20 from a different university or with this university, maybe, I mean, you still will be able to apply for the reinstatement. But as I said, I mean, reinstatement timelines take longer, and then, it's a time consuming process. And then, make sure that, as you are staying inside the country, just based on the reinstatement receipt notice, which is not an actual status, so you will not have, protections.
Okay. Initially, I was convicted on shoplifting less than $200, but then was amended to civil ordinance case. Do I need to worry about this if I file a lawsuit?
Not really, but make sure that you give out all the actual documentation to the lawyer who is filing the lawsuit, certified copies of all of these.
I'm on OPT EAD. Do I need to file AR11 form?
Yeah, AR11 form will be filed by those people who have a change in the address, and you have to do whenever you move from location to location, you file AR11 under 10 days of your move. So,
Okay. I'm on F1 OPT. Service is terminated. Visa revoked after an arrest for selling alcohol while working at a gas station in Texas. The case was dismissed, expunged after completing a TABC. My H1B was picked. I have a full time job. I joined a month ago. I don't want to inform my employer because I joined a month ago. I'm scared if I tell them they will terminate me and lose H1B. So I will tell them due to family issues I want to join and work on India pay cut. They come back on H1B once everything settles upon being transparent, telling everything to my employer and convincing him what to do. What do you want me to? So what is the
there
suggestion?
are two things. Yeah, there are two things here. Let's say, if you, as you mentioned, if you are planning to leave the country and then work from India, you have to let your employer know that, you don't have any work authorization inside the country. So they are not running the payroll. So you are not violating any rules. So you can ask them to, if you have a company or if there is a mechanism that, that you can provide services from outside the country as a foreign national, if your company will involve through vendorship through a different company and pay you pay stub through vendor, and then the vendor will pay you. But however, the pay stubs cannot be run inside the country. And if you don't wish to, you don't have to. But again, I mean, saying that you cannot work from India and your payroll cannot be run here because you don't have the work status inside the country, that's another violation. So by doing that, you might face extra scrutiny when you appear for H1B at the consular post.
Okay. Had a possession case, did pre-trial intervention, and case was dismissed in September 2024. The judge informed me when questioned by anyone that I was not convicted or not proved guilty. My case is due to be expunged this September 2025. My service was terminated on April 4th. What are the chances if filed a lawsuit, and also what's the best possible thing I can do currently in OPT now?
If you plan to file a lawsuit, I mean, definitely I would say, talk to the law firm who, litigate these. The reason is, I mean, they are accepting the cases based on case to case. So possibility is there that they might accept your case, but again, I mean, you have to talk to the litigation attorney when you file or when you plan to file.
Okay, my wife did M Pharma from India. She got training in software, working as a software test engineer on H4 EAD, and have 4 years of IT experience. We are going for stamping in India. Will there be any complications since she is working as a software engineer by not having technical background?
Usually, if the H1B is approved, maybe that might have got approved with an RFE. So make sure how her gained knowledge will be equivalent to a degree. So, I mean, though the H1B is approved, so, if you go for stamping, that is another scrutiny that you will be facing. And when you enter, into the country, the CBP also can question. So you be prepared, for all of those. But, to my knowledge, yes, having the 4 years of actual experience will not be an equivalent to a computer science degree.
Okay. I have DUI. If SEVIS is revoked and got 15 days to go back to home country, and my case is not yet come to court and do not have time to stay as per the SEVIS revoked, what can be done in this case?
If you are planning to leave, yeah, as mentioned, just follow the instructions on the email that, after leaving, get your visa cancelled. But again, if you stay inside the country, you have different choices. But if you leave the country, the option that you will have is technically appearing for the visa at the consulate and then entering into the country.
Okay. Does kids turn 14 years holding valid H4 visa also need to register for biometrics if they are not printed before?
Yeah, they have to, yes.
Okay. If we leave after 15 days, will they stop me at airport for staying some days illegally?
When you are leaving, I don't think so. They will ask more questions. It's only when you enter into the United States that's when you will, face that scrutiny. So when you are leaving, at least that shows that you are leaving on time. And as I mentioned in the initial, the call, make sure that you are at least sending an email to the consulate and saving that as an evidence that you are tried to or attempted to reach out to them for the visa cancellation. So you try to follow the instructions at least mentioned on the service termination.
Okay. I'm on day one CPT. Want to know the options if I visit India to meet family? I think this is answered. Oh, sorry. Let me go to the next question. My wife is on H4 after marrying her in 2023. Then I got my visa renewed in 2024 October. We recently filed for her EAD in March 2025. As per the new law, should she register with USCIS?
I don't think so because she entered into the country successfully having a valid I-94 at some point of time, and then if the extension has been filed in a timely manner, they don't have to.
Okay. Coming in on green card EAD on advanced payroll, any concerns and documentation to carry while coming back to the country? Thank you for the support.
Especially when coming into the country, when you show an advance parole, you will be, let in. But however, if they ask you any questions related to your, employment related to your adjustment of status, make sure that, you have all the documentation ready, like, an employment confirmation letter and, a copy of your I-140 and then, 485J signed, things like that. But pretty much we are not hearing anything when they enter into the country on the advance parole.
Okay. We plan to visit India in May, coming back in June 30. My kid is US citizen and his passport expires in December 8, 2025. Are we facing any problem at the port of entry in India or USA?
I think as long as, usually they look into whether it's valid, up till 6 months. So make sure you are meeting that, or maybe, just go for the passport within the country before traveling.
Okay. I have accident and speeding ticket in past. Does it affect my visa?
I mean, it depends on which visa you are on. So, let's say if it is on H1 or H4, I don't think so. Maybe, as per the new rules, we don't know, but previous rules only the visas used to be revoked when you have the DUIs and all. But unless and until you are a student, visa revocation itself will not have any implications. But the service termination, especially for the students, have the implications because they don't have any status inside the country. So regarding the H4 and all, this is with the USCIS. We haven't started seeing anything on these things. So they are good to stay inside the country.
Okay. Only children turning 14 has to file G3 to 5 are online.
Yeah, once the child turned 14 and then within the 30 days of the 14th birthday, they have to file.
Okay. My kid have valid I-94 until 9/25. We filed I-539. Is there any dependency on G3 to 5R or alien registration requirement, or are these two independent?
These two are two independent things. So, as long as the status extension was filed, should be good.
Okay. If I file a lawsuit, with my details be accessible for everyone if they Google using my name or search in Pacer app?
I think the lawsuit will technically take care of, but maybe your name might appear. Other than that, nothing much. But again, if the law firm wants to, they can, do something not to appear. So you have to talk to the lawyer who is filing the litigation case. But I think at least the name will appear, I guess.
Okay. Current DUI pending in Michigan. SEVIS has been terminated and EAD card is approved. Ready to grad in May 7th. What options do I have?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you are ready to graduate, I think, you continue attending the school and then, make sure, or you leave the country, make sure that your DSO allows you to attend the school online and then, you have a degree. So it's an, case by case, you have to decide what you want to do, whether you really want to leave the country or attend school from abroad or just join I mean still continue attending and then want to file any reinstatement. It all depends on what you want.
Okay. I got a speeding ticket last year. Do I need to be aware of the revocations happening these days?
Um, I think for speeding tickets, we are not seeing any visa revocations, especially for those who are on H and H1B, H4, and those. But for F1s, yes, as recent as we are hearing all these, even for the parking violations, the visas are getting revoked, and even service terminations.
Okay. What is the 30-day rules for H1Bs with valid I-94?
I think it's a 60-day rule. So, I'm not sure about the 30-day, but again, if you, the question is a little bit vague. So, I'm not sure what exactly they mean to say.
Okay, I'll leave it for them to again
Maybe,
try to.
I request them to rewrite, what
Yeah.
they, if it is a 60-day time frame, whether you lost your job, things like that. So, I'm not really sure about the 30-day rule. So,
Sure. Are there any changes to O1 visa type? Can you please throw some light on that?
not really. I think, as long as you fit into that extraordinary ability visa, definitely you can, go ahead and apply for that.
Okay. As soon as possible, you can file G325R online with separate online USCS account for your child.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, create the account and make sure you are following those instructions and then fill out, because this particular form, how it was designed, this is designed for all undocumented immigrants, those who are inside illegally. But again, sometimes your child might not have any number, your child might not have a social security number. So, if one question is not applicable and then, your child doesn't have, just say not applicable, NA, and then move on to a different question, but basically give out all the basic information, names, date of birth, the address, and, visas and stuff like that. So if you don't have, technically, if you are on H4, you won't have an A number unless you applied an EAD. So, I mean, make sure that you are diligent on those and provide the basic information, because the form itself is designed to fit a lot of categories here.
Okay. I'm on J1 visa and my visa is expiring by June 2025. I got extension for 2 more years. What if I will go next year to my home country for stamping? Would I be eligible for Dropbox facility?
Yeah, if your visa expired within the past 12 months, I think, that's when you will be eligible for Dropbox. Otherwise, they will call you for in person. So my advice is, maybe, unless and until it's an emergency situation, don't travel. But however, if you are planning to do it next year, you have to keep in mind, what changes comes by then. And then, based on that, you have to plan.
Okay. I'm currently on H1B visa and recently received a traffic citation for failing to turn on my headlights. My court date is scheduled for the end of June. However, I have plans to travel to India in May and would like to know how serious is this type of violation in the context of my H1B status. Could it have any impact on my ability to re-enter the US? Will the immigration officer know that I have a citation and court date in June? Do you recommend proceeding with international travel at this time? Also, my wife's H4EAD extension was filed recently and is currently in process by USCS. Would this cause any problem if we go out of country?
Yeah, if she cannot leave the country until it gets approved for the H4 extension, of course, EADs can. But however, I would say, I mean, unless and until it is really required and, or an emergency that you must travel, stay put because a lot of changes are coming. And then, I mean, you have to make sure that I mean you choose a time when it's safe to travel, but right now we are recommending a lot of clients not to if it is not required.
Okay. H1B having speeding ticket and complete driving class and exam in impact on H1B.
So far, we are not seeing, any revocation of the visas, especially for the H1Bs, those who have speeding. But however, DUIs will have. But we haven't started, seeing these kind of. But maybe in future. So far, no on that.
Okay. My initial OPT got expired and I applied to STEM OPT. I had a family emergency, so I had to come to India while my STEM was in processing. After I came to India, I got an RFE from my employer RFE, and my employer is working on getting the RFE cleared. What should I do in case I do not have a project in my hand? Employer is running my payroll.
Yeah, see, basic thing is, especially when you apply for STEM extension OPT, technically you are saying that, hey, you do have a job. If you don't have a job in hand, and then if the RFE is related to that, then, I mean, it has to be, looked into what they actually are asking in the RFE. So, though it is approved or, if it is still goes on, if you don't have a project, if the question is related to that, highly likely it might not get approved. So, you just have to wait and see, or maybe, we have to schedule a consultation for this to see what the RFE is all about.
Okay. For H1B visa holders, in case of USCIS visit, who is going to be point of contact from immigration attorney standpoint? Assuming the immigration attorney is the contact from I-797A document, please confirm.
Yeah, usually when the site visitation happen, they try to contact the employer first. Sometimes they miss copying attorney as well, but however, employer will bring to attorneys, bring it to attorney's attention, and then make sure that they are responding to that site visitation in a timely manner. And to keep in mind specifically, you have to the employee needs to have the H1B copy, an LCA copy signed one, and then all the pay stubs and all, and make sure that your H1B for what title it was filed, for location and all, make sure you have a copy from your employer, go through your H1B to make sure, I mean, whatever the job that you are performing is similar to, what the H1B was filed for.
Okay. Is alien number given to kids who are on H4?
No.
Okay. And what are the possibilities to re-enter the US? I don't know what he has done, but okay. Okay. And my F1 got terminated due to DUI, but I plead not guilty and the case was closed. I'm on STEM OPT and my STEM ends on December 2025. My H1 got picked up in this fiscal year 2025. What are my options?
Your options are same as we have been telling in this call. So you have three options: one, filing a lawsuit; other, reinstatement; the third will be leaving and then coming back. So you have to see which one you need to do based on the individual case.
Okay. G325R online form has a question about immigration status and last arrival to US. It has only one option saying entry without inspection. Is this valid to select for H4 kids who entered US with valid H4 stamping? Please suggest.
Yeah, if entered into the US on a valid H4 stamping, so you have to choose entered with inspection. So without inspection is for somebody who entered illegally into the United States.
Okay. Hello, sorry, one second. My F1 got terminated due to DUI, but I plead not guilty and the case was closed. I'm on STEM OPT and the STEM ends on December 2025. I think this is question answered. Okay. I'm on F1 OPT, service is terminated, visa revoked. After an arrest from selling alcohol while working at the gas station, I think this is also answered. Is A number for kids referred to blank?
Yeah, I mean, whatever is not applicable, just say, not applicable. So, as I said, this form especially is designed for a lot of categories. So, most of the information might not be applicable to kids. Just say if it is not applicable, just say not applicable and then move on to the next.
Okay. One of my cousin moved to USA last month on H1B and does he need to apply for state ID or driver license within the 30 days and if he failed to do so, will there be any consequences based on the latest updates on social media? Also, his LCA is from Florida and his employer is from Florida and his work is remote. So he's staying in Colorado. And will it be a problem if he applies state ID or driver license from Colorado state?
The first thing is I'm not really sure about a mandatory driver's license within a certain time frame. It all depends on. But however, as soon as you enter, make sure that based on your H1B, you apply for the Social Security if this is the very first time. And yes, if the H1B was filed for Florida location and then the job availability is for Florida location, you can unless and until your Colorado address was if it is mentioned in the LCA, if this is where you will be working and your this address is part of your H1B filing, that should be fine. But if it is not, technically no, you cannot work from this location. And then of course, if you apply for a driver's license from this location, yeah, things might mess up in a different way because unless and until there is an amendment. So maybe file the amendment first for the Colorado location and then apply for the driver's license.
Okay. What other supporting documents for green card holders need to carry coming back to US and any issues staying 5 months and coming back during this time?
I think majorly the documentation that they need to carry is like they would ask the intent whether you are a legal permanent resident. So make sure that if you own a house or paying taxes properly, having the health insurance, having the job. If you are renting, make sure carry those. But again, it's all case by case basis. But make sure that when it is, legal permanent resident, so your intention is, your permanent residency is United States, nowhere else. So you have to prove that.
Okay. I have been on H1B for 15 years with 5 renewals, but with the recent renewal, my H1B got rejected with the reason my master's university was for profit, Stratford University. So my company did reapply H1B again and again. I got a no it with the same reason. How do we tackle the situation? My company will be sending a response next week. What arguments can we include in the response package? Has a similar case from University raised before? And how was that tackled?
Yeah, these were the RFEs that were, maybe I would say 8 years, 9 years ago. But again, let's say if your base H1B, the cap H1B was filed using your Stanford degree, you might have minimal chances. But let's say if your base H1B was filed under a bachelor's cap, then, maybe they can use your bachelor's degree to portray it. But again, recently I haven't seen anything on these, but yes, these kind of RFEs were, on the spike, maybe I would say 8, 9, 10 years ago. So.
Okay. I'm currently on a OPT EAD visa. Recently, I changed my employer, and due to lack of knowledge, I updated the new employer details in the SEVP portal 10 days after my notice period ended. We'll be applying for my STEM OPT extension next month, and I'm concerned whether this delay might affect my application. I've heard about service terminations in some cases, so I want to make sure everything is in good standing. How can I confirm if my service record is still active, not terminated?
You make sure that you talk with your school DSO. He or she, that school DSO should be your point of contact first, and then when you apply for the OPTs, you have to meet certain requirements like your I-20 should be annotated or signed within past 30 days. So you meet that. If you are not meeting that, go ahead and then ask the university to give you another I-20. So just don't go ahead and file it. So make sure that you are meeting those requirements and then filing.
Okay. My friend recently got his visa revoked and service terminated. He is on STEM OPT. He had a retail fraud third degree that was closed in Jan after completing probation. He got his H1B and his employer suggested filing a premium process. What are his chances of H1B getting approved? If approved, can he stay in US and he enters cap gap without getting involved in any lawsuit?
Say cap gap will be available only if the service is not terminated. If it is terminated, then there is no cap gap at all because there is no work authorization. However, applying the H1B and then, if you apply, the approval also depends upon, what your service status is. They might not even approve your H1B for a change of status if they look into your service status where technically it's already terminated. So your H1B might get approved for the consular post.
Okay. My daughter turned 15 as of Jan 28 this year, but I missed to register her on US CIS. I completed the registration today and also submitted the G325R today. Will there be any issue with her status? Her I-94 had an end date of December 31st, 2021, but she has H4 visa until December 2026. Her last I-94 was on her previous Indian passport, which was renewed in 2023.
So I think looks like, as long as, the H4 was filed, renewed properly, should be fine. But however, this rule came, recently, couple days ago. So you registering her now should be fine. So you haven't missed anything.
Okay. I got a speeding ticket on alcohol zone. Sorry, my bad. I got a speeding ticket on school zone. My visa and service got revoked. The case was closed and they removed it and expunged it from criminal database. Currently, I'm on OPT, so I came back to India yesterday. So should I hand over my passport to consulate or should I mail them before? Or what do you suggest me to do now? If I want to re-enter again United States, means I need to go through F1 visa only, right? Or else should I file an case against it?
Yeah, I think if you want to join, you can join the case, but again, it all depends upon whether being outside you will be able to join. But however, as you left, there is no mechanism, I guess, in the consulate where you can just hand it over. So as I mentioned, just send them an email because today in one of the consultation, I learned that, the person called the consulate and then they said that we are not canceling anything as of now, so when you appear for the next visa we will be able to do that. But however, to prove your intention, send them an email to the contacts or the email ID that is available, and then make sure that you save that for your records so that way at least from your side you diligently worked towards it, getting it cancelled, and keep it for your records.
Okay. My H1B got picked in this year with old and new employer. With my new employer start date will be on May 1st. If I file my H1 with my new employer, as my new employer will not start my payroll until May end, is there any issue if I file H1 with my new employer? How can I proceed if they ask for last 3 or 6 months pay stubs?
I think, if your new employer is filing, you can still show that you always maintain the status inside the country by providing the previous pay stubs. So, as long as whether it is with current or previous employer, you maintained your given status inside the country, from your previous employer. Also, you can give those pay stubs when you are filing the H1B.
Okay. Can F1 visa holder with medical graduate perform observatory or shadow doctor in any hospital?
For F1, can you repeat the question, Priyanka? Sorry about that.
Yeah, sure. Can F1 visa holder with medical graduate perform observatory or shadow doctor in any hospital?
It depends on, why you got an F1 for. If that is what it is, then possibility. But again, if that is not part of, then it's only voluntary. So you have to make sure that, it's not part of your. I think shadowing definitely they can do as long as it's not, any paid internship kind of, any unpaid, voluntary thing, they can always do it.
Okay. I'm trying to file lawsuit and wanted to file instatement too, but I am not getting any admission from universities. People are saying that instatement is asking the same USCIS department to reconsider the same service to activate. So what are the chances of reinstatement while on STEM OPT scenario? What are the chances of getting it and what I can do?
Yeah, it's all case by case basis, I mean, reinstatement always, depends on. So usually reinstatement application really requires a very strong evidence. So, most of the cases that we used to file for the reinstatement, when the student missed the classes because of the medical condition, or, maybe when I say medical condition, they are not in a position to attend the school, and then, getting a letter from the doctor, and then, all the evidences, only in those scenarios the reinstatements will usually get approved. The standard is high, I would say, as you mentioned in the question itself. So it is going to the USCIS, which is also part of the DHS. So, I'm not really positive about these reinstatements.
Okay. In 2023 Jan, I was caught by selling nicotine product for underage. For that, I went to court and paid some money, but I did not give fingerprints. Will it be any problem?
I mean, if that person is not on F, and then, if there is no service termination, then that should be good. But again, if that person is on F, they have to, look into all these scenarios.
Okay. I was initially charged with shoplifting, later got amended to civil ordinance case on September 2023. I already have a certified disposition from the court. Do I need to apply for expungement or annulment?
I don't think expungement is really required, but if you want to do, you can do it. But as I mentioned, I mean, expungement, though you get your records expunged for the immigration purposes, you always need to disclose. So I don't see any benefit of that.
Okay. I'm hearing about fingerprint registration. My kid is in H4. He is 18 years old. He did his fingerprints in India in 2023 and he has 16 years. Still, he needs to register for the fingerprints?
I would say yes, because, if the kid is, 14, or, more than 14 years, just go ahead and register.
Okay. My friend's service got terminated, but his H1B got picked in his March. Can he come back on H1B? What could be the process and what do you suggest?
I mean, filing the H1B, I mean, getting it approved, but again, when the H1B application goes to the USCIS, so service records are part of the H1B filing. So, USCIS will definitely know what is the status on, the service and all. So you might get an RFE, or if rest of the credentials are good, I mean, you can get it approved for the consular post, or even getting it denied. So it all depends upon, we have to see how it all unfolds, especially, this is the time that we are filing the H1Bs. We still need to wait on those. But again, as it is going to the same department, USCIS, which falls under the DHS, so, they have access to all this information.
Okay. On OPT, I'm on OPT F1 student. I got into a shoplifting case of $25, arrested, and went to the court next day. Judge has dismissed the case without talking about the case. Got my service terminated on April 8th. How to proceed if I can get a new I-20 from new university for same program, which is studies at my old university.
I mean, it depends what your choice is. If your current university is not giving you a reinstatement I-20, yes, go ahead with a different university and try to apply if that is what your option is.
Okay. Waiting for my reinstatement I-20 from my university. Can I wait in the country until I receive it? If so, how long?
I mean, as I said, there is no certain date. I mean, a day time frame that I can tell you, like, 15 or 20 days that you can stay. Of course, you can wait till you get your reinstatement I-20 apply, but applying the reinstatement doesn't give you any protection to stay inside the country,
Okay.
because that's not a status.
Okay. I am on H1B, not started the job in first 2 months as project not started by the employer. In 70th day, USCIS officer came to my employer and asked about me and called me and said that the petition will be revoked. But my status not changed to anything online, so continued here and got the job in another state, had new LCA and have the pay stubs. Recently, my spouse attended the H4 interview. They then consulate said that my petition is inactive and I-94 visa are fine. So gave 221G asking for new petitions. So what should be the solution?
Yeah, I think, I mean, technically, when it depends on, how the officer visit was addressed, because, if you came here on the H1B, when technically, that particular project is supposed to start, if there are any delays, then, I mean, if you are getting paid for that, and then at least you are, within that work zone, I guess it should be. But again, as you move to a different job, and then, there is an amendment, so make sure the amendment gets approved. So, and if it is not filed in premium, just upgrade it to premium, get it approved, and maybe your spouse can go on that new approval.
Okay. What is the impact traffic citation on my H1B extension, even though I paid all fines?
I think, as I said, I mean, unlike the F1s, we are not seeing any serious consequences so far on the H1B, unless and until it is a DUI. That too, when you go outside the country. So, I cannot really comment on that, but as of as we speak, I think, you should be good. But again, on similar to the F1s, if something happens to the H1s, we don't know. But right now, you should be good.
Okay. There are speculations that even social media activity is contributing to visa revocations and service terminations. Is this happening?
It depends on, what kind of social media activity that you are. As per the new executive order, the memo that was issued by the Trump administration on the anti-Semitism, I think yes, based on the postings, they are looking into, and then they are arresting the students, deporting. It all depends upon. But yes, based on the recent executive order, they are doing that.
Okay. Case was liquor sale to minor, got dismissed, not guilty, not convicted. Now visa and service terminated. I'm on OPT F1 student working. Now I stopped working. What would be my options? Reinstatement or lawsuit, or go out of the country and come back with H1B with if employer supports.
Yeah, it all depends on, I mean, as we are saying continuously on the call, that, it depends on your personal choice. If you want to file a lawsuit, yes, that will be your option. And then lawsuit and then reinstatement, I mean, up to you, which way. But again, you have to choose one. And then if you wish to choose to leave the country, then, I mean, that's up to you. Again, you will be eligible for, for another new visa if you have a new I-20 from a different university.
Okay. My friend came to the US on a F1 visa for his master's. During his studies, he got married to a US citizen, but he hasn't applied for a green card yet. It's been almost about 1.6 years since the marriage. After completing his master's, he got selected in the H1B lottery. On his first attempt last year, however, his employer has not run a payroll, and he is currently on an in-house project without a active job. A few questions. Will there be any issue or red flag due to the delay in applying for a green card through marriage? Is payroll necessary to apply for adjustment of status I-485? What's the best way to proceed in this situation to avoid complications? Any guidance or similar experiences would really help.
I don't think so. There will be any issues regarding, why you haven't filed. If you are eligible for the benefits, it's a personal choice that the person will make. But however, yes, if you are inside the country on a certain visa, you are expected to maintain that particular status. Yes, I mean, if you are on H1B, and then, your pay stubs are important part of it. So definitely they would ask the pay stubs when you file for the adjustment of status, looking into, how you are maintaining your given status.
Okay. I have a misdemeanor speeding ticket that I paid the fine for. Was not fingerprinted. Am I considered higher risk?
See, we are also seeing whether you are fingerprinted or not. We are seeing, I mean, visa revocations and terminations as well. I don't think it's linked with any of the fingerprinting. I had consultation with some of the, students, those who never had any fingerprinting done. Still, their, visas got revoked and SEVIS got terminated. So it all depends.
Okay. My H1B is due by June end, and I'm filing H1 on premium by this week and concurrent filing for H4 and EAD. My wife is working on H4 EAD. Can she continue working after getting my H1 approval, or she has to wait for the H4 and H4 approval? Sorry, EAD approval.
I think based on the question, I mean, if they have the I-94 for the H4, they can continue. But again, if everything is filed, the USCIS is still honoring the bundled up, filing. So, make sure that you upgrading it to the premium and, work towards the approval at the same time.
Okay. If the lawsuit wins, will I get all the status, means EAD and OPT?
I don't want to comment on this one because I mean I'm not really sure what will happen. And again, yes, it all depends upon what the lawyer is asking on that particular case. So it's too early to comment. And as I mentioned, however, and I don't do litigation. So.
Okay. What is standard naturalization timeline? And after applying for naturalization, can we travel to abroad?
Naturalization timeframes always depends on the city where you are in. For bigger metro cities, the timeframes vary, like maybe 8 plus months, 6 plus months. But in smaller cities, you will be able to get it a little bit with lesser time frame. Of course, once you apply and then do a fingerprinting, you should be able to travel, but make sure don't miss the fingerprinting, don't miss the interview, dates and all.
Okay. My H4 visa students worked based on school work permit letter and planning to travel India in May for visa stamping and an entrance exam. Since W2 got generated and parents SSN linked for 2024 years, will there be any issue for kids in visa stamping and in port of entry in USA when they are back?
As long as the principal applicant is maintaining the given status inside the country, so kid stamping should not have an issue unless and until there are serious violations.
Okay. In my case, my F1 visa was revoked due to a misdemeanor charge that was fully disposed of by a Texas court in 2008. The charge documents I have from the court do not mention alcohol, even though the case was related to a DUI. My DSO is requesting official documentation confirming that the case involved alcohol and it is considered a criminal matter. However, none of the documents I currently possess explicitly state that alcohol was involved. Could you please advise me on how I can obtain official documentation or proof that clarifies the nature of the original charge, especially indicating its relation to alcohol? Any guidance or suggestion on how to proceed would be greatly appreciated.
I think you should get a certified copy of the police report. So make sure when you got cited, or I mean, which county and which police station it comes under. You can also apply online, and then you will be paying certain fees for that. But reach out to them and then obtain a certified copy. So that way you will be able to know the nature of the charges there.
Okay. Can H4EAD own a business along with the IT job?
H4EAD. Okay. Yeah, I guess yes, as long as there is no gap in the employment authorization.
Okay. I was working for a small consulting firm on H1B visa. After leaving the company, I did not receive any experience or relieving letter or even last few months pay slips. How do we know that that was the official end date of the at the company? However, I got W2 from that year, but it does not mention how many months the payroll was run and taxes were paid to federal and state.
See, if you left, the date you left will be the last date, other than if they gave you any different date or, laid you off. So, you technically need to, if you left by yourself, then, that is the day you are with that company. And if there are no pay stubs, then, I mean, at least get an experience letter. But, not having the pay stubs is also not really maintaining the status. So you have to look into all of those things.
Okay. The current administration has implemented a rule using the I-940 Alien Registration Act that requires non-citizens to register with the Department of Homeland Security. This includes green card holders, those with valid visas, and even children. Is this mandatory, and what is the rule for?
No, I mean, see, when you go into that particular rule, you will be able to read who are already covered and who needs to register. Make sure before you register, read everything. Just don't blindly follow your friend is doing, I'm doing. Make sure that clearly says that, they'll give you a group of people, group of categories where are don't fall under this registration, like the green card holders or those who entered into the country on non-immigrant visas and have valid I-94s when they entered. Only a small a fraction of candidates will be are should be registering with these, where the kid entered into the country when they are below 14 years of age, and then they turned 14 inside the United States. For them, yes, they need to register, and then it should be under 30 days, within the 30 days of their 14th birthday. But let's say if your kid is 16, 17, or 18, yes, I mean, register, go ahead and register. But green card holders and those who have a valid visas and I-94s doesn't fall under this category.
Okay. Have a question regarding a past incident. In 2020, I was arrested in a domestic violence case. After the police inquiry, I was charged $150 and released the same night. About an hour after the arrest, they mentioned I would have to appear in court, but a few days later, I received a refund of the $150 via check, and I never received a court date or any further notice. It's been 4 years now, and I have had no updates on the case. I assume that the case is dismissed because my wife called police in the heat of the moment, and there was no violence. I'm currently on H-1B visa with an approved I-140, if that matters. Given the new administration, should I be concerned about this case or consider it dismissed?
I would say no assumptions. So definitely go ahead and then make sure that you get a certified copy of the police report, what exactly it is, because I mean, we are seeing people where there are tickets and all, where there are court dates. They assumed that they don't have to appear for the court, and then they are having arrest warrants against them for not attending the court date. So make sure that you obtain a certified police report. That's what I would recommend. We still
Okay.
have some more questions, Priyanka?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
Okay. My
Yeah, go
visa,
ahead.
yeah. My visa and service got revoked. And is that okay to drive before or after filing the reinstatement? If any cop finds, is there any problem?
So the visa and you said it's the service got
Service got
terminated?
revoked. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, same thing, I mean, I think if your visa got revoked and on top of that, if your service got terminated, you have few options where filing a lawsuit or reinstatement or leaving the country. So, I mean, just see which option you would like to, go with.
Okay. My daughter, who is H4, went for Dropbox before 14th birthday and received stamp visa after her 14th birthday. We are planning for travel and visa appointment. Said she is eligible. Sorry, she is eligible for Dropbox in Chennai. Will she have any issues during Dropbox? If so, what should we do?
She should not have any problems, but however, as you said, I think she's already 14. Make sure that she is registered, and then keep that evidence, and then if required, provide that at the consulate when you appear if they ask for.
Okay. During my interview process, I asked them I do not need visa sponsorship, but on my first day of joining at office, my another HR said that we can sponsor the visa, and they filed the H1, and my visa got picked. So today, my CPO and head of HR said that during interview process you said you don't need, but now H1 picked. So any concerns?
I mean, so yeah, when you appear, you don't have any intent to get it sponsored, so you are not intending to settle down here. So later on, the intention can change. So I think you should be good.
Okay. I'm on H1B. My mother passed away recently, December 2024, and my father is in USA on visitor visa, I-94 until July 2025, and he cannot go back as there is no one to take care. What are his options to stay back with me?
Um, did she mention her status?
H1B.
No, if it is a H1B, I don't think so. You don't have any chances. The chances are very slim. But you can file for an extension if there is no one to go back, at least a B2 extension stating the reason, or, I mean, to give him that kind of comfort and, moral support, because the spouse passed away. But I don't see any sponsoring, I mean, if you are a citizen, you will, but not on the H1B. Just extending the B2 will be the option, but that is a temporary one.
Okay. Is G325R registration applicable to kids who are citizens of USA by birth?
No.
Okay. My SEVIS got terminated and visa revoked. My H1 picked up, and I'm going to file on H1B from my employer. When I go for a visa interview, what are the options that my visa gets approved? I have all the documents saying I was not guilty. Will my visa revocation and SEVIS termination may be a problem when I am going for an H1B interview?
Yeah, it depends on case to case. So definitely your visa revocation and service termination will have some kind of impact on your H1B. But again, it also depends upon what kind of case, related to why it was, the reasons. So make sure when you are filing, filling out the DS 160, make sure you provide the information truthfully, and then you try to overcome, those challenges. But yes, you might face some challenges regarding the visa revocations and stuff like that when you appear for H1B.
Okay. I'm on F1 recently got my OPT. I traveled to India once and got stamped in my passport, as well as I have a record in my I-94. Yesterday I got a call saying they are from US Customs Office. He even told his ID number, but I'm not sure if it's a spam. They talked to about one HR asked me to read all the document forms from official website. This is the ICE website. I even got a call from nearest police station. They even asked me to pick up the call. I hung up the call as my friend told it was a scam. Later called police station, but I could not find the reason for the call from police. Do I need to worry about this?
Not really, but again, make sure when you get a call, I mean, when you are on H1B, there will be no documents related to you on the ICE. So, make sure don't give out any of the personal information like date of birth, social security number, and all. So, anything, of course, these days, they try to contact over the phone, but, let them do, I mean, mail it out to you or do in writing, because you don't want to be, having, the identity thefts and stuff like that. But however, if the police doesn't really find any reason, or, I mean, if they are not able to trace the same calls, they won't get back to you. But make sure don't give any of the, personal information over these calls.
Okay. I was in India for 5 months due to my father treatment during my OPT due to ill health. He passed away last year. I came back on Jan. I have to go back to perform rituals for my father. I have my H1B picked. Since it is mandatory event, I will. I want to know what are the precautions I can take while traveling. I'm planning to travel on August or September time frame, and I'm a student working in STEM OPT.
Okay, so student working on OPT is not on the H1B.
Not.
Okay, if you are a student on OPT and if you are working, make sure that you have the employment, and then, have all the pay stubs, and then, employment confirmation letter where you work and all of those things. And especially when you appear for visa, I think they mentioned appearing for the visa, right? Or just coming back.
Yeah, I think the H1 got picked up.
Okay, if the H1 got picked up, then I think during the September timeframe you will be eligible to go for the H1 stamping. So make sure you let them know, why the travel was required and then how it was mandatory. But as long as you maintained your given status inside the country on the F1, you should not really have any issues because your travel seems like a mandatory one.
Okay. My F1 visa is expired in June 2022. Since then, I did not go to India. Is my F1 visa revoked since it's expired? Because I don't have access to the email that I provide to consulate.
Yeah, I mean, check with your school DSO whether the service is active or not. So, I mean, we just visa revocation alone will not have any impact, but service termination will have the impact, immediate impact. So, check with your university, what your service status is.
Okay. On a H-1B visa, if we change employers, do we get a 60-day unemployment period each time we switch, or is it only 60 days total over the 3 years period?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you should be eligible for, whenever you change the employers. But however, if you are changing it pretty frequently, then they might question it.
Okay. I'm currently on STEM OPT working as a full-time employee, planning to go to India for vacation, leaves on April 26th and plan to return on May 20, 22nd. Is it safe to travel and return safely? What document should I carry for a safe return? Is there anything I need to check?
I mean, we are not really recommending the travel at least now, unless and until it is a mandatory one. But emergency. If it is an emergency travel, your physical presence is really required. Yes, make sure that you have your I-20 signed, and then employment letter, your pay stubs, showing that how you are maintaining your given status inside the country.
Okay. Is there any way we can check the validity of the existing B1 or B2 visa? My parents have stayed the full 6-month period during their last visit 3 years ago, and I'm concerned if they will have any issue when they arrive again this year.
If they stayed full 6 months, I mean, based on their given I-94, if they are eligible to stay, I think it should be good as long as they haven't violated any rules by overstaying.
Okay. Is it safe to travel India and get Dropbox done in June? What precautions should be taken? Are there any Dropbox revocations on or 221G in recent times?
See, though you are eligible for the drop box, it's all case by case basis. If the officer is not really satisfied, they definitely can call you for the in-person interview. So, it's not like you defaultly are eligible for the drop box. It's all case by case basis. But again, if you are eligible, then make sure that, you have all the documentation, and also make sure you have all the documents that you need to carry technically, showing that you are maintaining the given status inside the country. That's very, very important.
Okay. We are coming back to USA on June 30th. My kid's passport expires in December 2025. When we enter the country, he has 5 months. So he has 5 months, 8 days valid passport. He is USA citizen. Will I get any problem at the port of entry in USA?
I think he should be allowed, but again, I mean, as you're already outside the country now, you cannot do anything. So, I think you should be good.
Okay. My son did his fingerprint in US in May 2021. He traveled to India and returned in 2022. He was 15 years when he did his fingerprinting printing the US. Now he is 18 and he has a valid I-94 until December 2026. Should he fill G325R now?
Yes.
Okay. If we change, do we get, okay, this is answered. Is it safe to travel to India? And this is also answered. What is the 30-day registration? What is the 30-day registration rule? Will it be applicable for H1B and H4 dependents?
I'm really confused about this 30-day registration. They're not giving out what they actually want. So,
Okay. I'm on H1B. Do I need to keep my I-94 updates as per the new amended I-797?
no, can you repeat that again? Sorry, Priyanka.
I am on H1B. Do I need to keep my I-94 updates as per the new amended I-797?
Yeah, I mean, whenever if you extended within the country, of course, your I-797 comes along with the I-94. So keep them. When you travel in and out, you will be given a new I-94. So you go on the website, I mean CBP website, and print. So and then you will be able to see your travel history as well. So I mean, if it comes along with the I-94, yes, I mean, you will be saving that.
Okay. My visa and SEVIS got revoked. So I came back to India. Should I hand over my passport to the US consulate, or else should I connect with them through the mail first? If you suggest me through mail, what should I ask them?
Yeah, I mean, don't hand over your passports just like that, not really knowing to whom you are handing over to. So make sure that email the US Embassy stating that, hey, this is what the situation is. As per the instructions, I'm trying to reach out to you. Please advise me further how I will be able to cancel. So they will advise you on that, but just don't hand over the passports. Keep them with you until you walk into the consulate with your own passport.
Okay. On H1B, if the pay amount varies from check to check, like 2 to 3 checks or higher, and then some are lower, but the total on the W2 matches the LCA amount, does that cause any issues?
It depends on case to case, but usually if the W2 amount is matching whatever the LCA amount that was part of the H1B filing, it should be good. But again, a lot of fluctuation between the payrolls might be a question because whenever you are going for the extension, if they ask you to provide, because usually we provide, past 4 to 6 months of pay stubs, and then if they see that high fluctuation, they might question it. So make sure that, the hours, whatever the hours that you are working full time, because if you are working on H1B full time, it should minimal be the 40 hours, right? So make sure you are getting paid for that 40 hours. So as long as you have those 40 hours, there should be no fluctuation on that.
Okay. My SEVIS got terminated. May 5th is the final exam, and May 9th is the grad date. Please help. What am I supposed to do?
I would say talk to your school DSO, make sure that you can still attend the class and complete the coursework. And you be able to, do that grad walk and, get the degree. So, I think having that conversation with your school DSO will technically help you, and also alternatively, be prepared that as soon as these things, materialize or over, you are good to leave. So, because the service got terminated, right? So I would say technically have a conversation with the school DSO, and based on the options that you have, if they allow you, you can attend. But however, keep in mind that, if ICE starts enforcing, then, you also should speak to your DSO, the flexibilities of, attending from abroad, and then, online, and then, getting a degree as well.
Okay. My H1 is not picked, and this is the third attempt, and my OPT ends on Jan 5th, 2026. And right now, I do not have any job, still looking for a job. As I already have a 35 lakh loan to be paid, I cannot find a solution to my situation. And I know day one CPT is the only option, but even people are saying these days one CPT colleges are are risky, like Trainee and Lindsay Wilson. And one more thing, most of the colleges start from Jan 15, but mine will end on Jan 5th. Will I be having any problems for those 10 days? Could you please help me?
You make sure that first thing is you maintain the given status inside the country. So don't accumulate more unemployment days than it is allowed to. And then here the issue is the unemployment, not like going on the CPT. For some colleges, yes, they are issuing the CPTs, day one CPTs, but I'm not really sure going forward after these revocations how those universities will act. You just have to wait and see how it all unfold. But again, make sure that you are not crossing your unemployment days on your STEM OPT.
Okay. Can you please throw some light on birthright citizenship? Both my friend and his wife on different visas and expecting a baby in few days.
I think right now, if the baby is born, I think, he or she will be a US citizen. So, we still have a pause on that. So, not to worry at this point of time.
Okay. I'm currently on STEM OPT, working as a full-time employee. I'm on a vacation to India and my H1 got picked. I plan to return on May 18th. What are the documents required from my side for safe clearance of immigration?
Make sure you are maintaining your given, that OPT status, and show that, you have a job, how you are maintaining your given status. But however, file the H1B only once you enter into the country.
Okay. Previously, my friend have underage ticket, two speeding tickets, one parking ticket, and without CPT employer run the payroll, and he crossed at the border, and all are clear now. And have an accident due to black ice, all on old service. And I'm sorry to mention, after they joined new masters, H1 got picked and rejected. Don't know what is the question here. Sorry. Next question. My service is terminated. My F1 is expired. Can USCIS revoke an expired F1 visa?
I mean, if it is already expired, I mean, there is no revocation to it. But however, maybe they kind of kept some kind of annotation in there. So if your service got terminated, but again, I mean, you will have to still go through, one of the options that are available.
Okay. What restrictions to entry while someone on GCEAD have? Is it okay to travel to India if I don't have a job? Is there any impact to GC approval and entry into USA if I am unemployed for a long duration on GCEAD?
If it is a principal applicant, yes, there is a problem to it. But if it is a derivative beneficiary, I don't see any problem.
Okay. We have a lot more questions, but I think it's 10. I don't know if you still want to continue or.
I think, yeah, I mean, we pretty much covered a lot of things in 2 hours. Maybe, I think that we should request GTA to conduct one more call. But, I think all the questions are same, repetitive. So I think we
Yeah.
should, pause now.
Yeah. I think there are like most likely questions related to the students, revocations, kind of,
Yeah, they
cases.
can always, call our office to schedule an appointment. I mean, maybe you can just post if you have our business card, you can do that. But again, I mean, they can always, contact. Maybe, I think based on the response, I think, maybe if GTA is willing to do one more, then, possibility is there that we can answer rest of the questions.
Yeah, sure.
I really appreciate Priyanka, for 2 hours.
Thank
Thank
you so much, Janta Garu, for answering like too many
you.
questions. I know you have covered a lot, and I'm hoping at least few people have, at peace by listening your answers and all. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you, GTA. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you.